Good morning, everyone. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Good morning, I'm Cheryl Squadrito, and I will be your presenter today. I want to thank you for joining Alpha Omega Translation's second webinar. And like I said, I'm Cheryl Squadrito, and our CEO, Dimitra Hengen, will answer questions at the end.
Hello, everyone.
There's Dimitra. I'm in Philadelphia. Dimitra's in DC, Washington, DC. So before we start, I would like to share some information with you. On the side of your screen, you will see the control panel, or a red arrow, which you click to open the control panel. Otherwise, it is good to have the control panel minimized so you can see the screen. Everyone will be muted except for myself and Dimitra, which really cuts down on the amount of background noise. Otherwise, it is good to have the control, otherwise you will be muted. Okay, questions are very welcome during the seminar. In fact, we really encourage the interactive audience. There will be time periodically during the webinar in which you can ask questions, and there is a chat box in the control panel that is outlined in blue. The blue chat box is where you would write a question anytime if you have one. Like I said, Dimitra will answer questions at the end. And we also will be sending out the presentation slides and handouts later today, so you can have them for your reference. Lastly, for the best audio quality, please remove any other programs that you may be using, such as handheld devices or smartphones, which can interfere with the audio quality. So thank you, and we're going to get started. With more than 700 languages spoken in the world today, we all understand how integral translation is to the smooth operation of our global economy. Not a single industry has been left untouched by the advent of instantaneous global communication, and with worldwide access to the internet, not to mention the continual growth in international trade and the ever-increasing number of multinational corporations, being able to communicate with one another effectively has never been more important than right now. While translation has become mission critical, as for any investment, companies still want to know its concrete return on investment. At the same time, though, can any business really be sure whether an investment in good quality translations guarantees a good return on investment? The evidence at the present clearly indicates that translation can contribute to a positive growth revenue. A Common Sense Advisory survey in 2011 concluded that Fortune 500 companies expanded their translation budgets were more likely to increase their company's revenue. But let's take a look at the reasons behind businesses choosing to invest in translations in the first place. In this internet age, one of the first texts considered for translation is usually your business website along with similar marketing materials. While English may be widely used language on the internet, with just 25% of the internet users are actually English native speakers, with Chinese speakers accounting for 19.4% of all other major languages, making up the remainder. It makes business sense to market to those potential customer bases, especially considering that consumers prefer to buy language products and services marketed in their native language. This is especially the case when it comes to success in digital marketing, as the consumers tend to Google in their own language, and they are more likely to get results and be guided towards services and products offered in their same language. This is where investing in a good quality, target market aware translation company can prove invaluable. Properly translated and localized marketing content will not only break through the language barrier between you and your new potential customers, it also fosters a sense of familiarity and makes your business more appealing and trustworthy to the local market. By speaking directly to consumers in a way they can relate to, will attract more business. So obviously, a lot of thought and effort goes to any business's marketing strategies and campaigns. Similarly, brand image and brand image and reputation count for everything in today's fast-paced, consumer-driven environment. Whether branching into a new international market or marketing to the multi-language local market in your community, retaining your brand image whilst protecting the reputation you've worked so hard to build thus far is something worth investing in. Investing in translation beyond the most obvious marketing materials may be more costly, but it has been shown to increase customer satisfaction and loyalty. By offering both technical and support materials in each language, as well as business-related material, can dramatically cut the cost of more expensive support services they need to offer. In addition, businesses become far easier for foreign partners to work with, improving multilingual business relationships and maintaining the service quality for consumers across language markets. The same holds true for in-house teams. Ensuring the availability of native language employment communications, even for those working in the company's main language, safety manuals, as well as training materials can boost overall morale while also promoting a more safe and productive work environment for all employees. Your investment in translation is ultimately going to decide how your business is presented to new markets. The brand credibility that has been painstakingly built up with hard work and dedication doesn't just need to survive the crossing of the language divide. It has to overcome it and thrive in new cultural environments of multilingual global markets. While careful consideration and in possession of translation expertise, your business can reap the rewards of translation by reaching out to the world in all of its many languages. So let's talk about translation practices. And this would be a good time if you have any questions to type them in to the blue chat box. When considering return on investment, you need to take into consideration the cost of translation, not just the potential new revenue streams. By focusing on translation, just those materials that are required based on local market-specific goals and targets, excess costs can be minimized while still enjoying the benefits of translation for your expansion objectives. Balancing your translation strategy with the needs of your business is another great way to keep costs low and profits high. While a simplified process may be sufficient for informal internal communications, relying on machine translation, also known as MT, to complete complex technical manuals or marketing materials would seem ill-advised. Always know what you need. Partnering with a reliable translation agency can be beneficial in this sense, as they offer advice on not what only translation methods are best suited for each of your materials, but also finding and managing the most highly qualified linguists for your business so you don't have to. Translation agencies also offer the benefits of professional computer materials. Translating your learning and e-learning and training courses is necessary to develop your company's human resources and client base. Your labor force should always be a main priority when promoting your business abroad. Your success can be attained through a well-trained team. Translating your training manuals and e-learning modules will be an important first step in creating a powerful team. So let's talk about interactive training materials. Interactive training materials can create a more productive, user-friendly training experience, but these types of training tools can have added challenges for translation. Here are some tips to regain the trainee's full attention and understanding. Visuals are everything, but not all graphics and images have the same interpretations worldwide. Be mindful of diverse cultures and traditions to avoid misinterpretations once translated into different languages. Whenever possible, use a title bar underneath the graphic or image for the description rather than embedding the text. Removing embedded text is not only time-consuming, but adds additional costs for your translation fees. For audio and visual content, an original script must always be available to reduce the time consumed in research and transitions. Subtitles to audio and video components are also used, but it is more advisable for your trainees to follow an audio dubbed training module so they don't have to read the subtitles to understand the meaning of the audio and visual components. We recommend choosing a simple layout that is not distracting and easily delivers the message and instructions. Your files must always be editable and in a format readable to your translators. Whether it is a raw file or flash converted file, it is advisable to always give your processed and original files to your translators to have the translation work effectively. We'd like to recommend some tips for avoiding miscommunication. Identifying linguistics variations early in the translation process can go a long way in avoiding miscommunications with your team. Languages across regions and the words people use to express the same message can be very different. Localizing is the process that includes researching how the people that speak your target language communicate. Conveying your message in a way your team members understand and relate to will help diminish miscommunication. A few ways to avoid miscommunication in your training manuals or e-learning materials include: limit the use of jargon, colloquial expressions, and metaphors. Avoid acronyms or abbreviations. Use brief, concise descriptions. Add bullets and numbers for more organized and readable content. So let's not forget digital. Digital has fundamentally changed over the years. Let's look at social media. Facebook is for people in their 40s and 50s, and Twitter isn't used by my incoming undergrads. There's Snapchat and other emerging platforms that are becoming more and more important. Businesses have to pay attention to these platforms. Also, globally, and less and least developed markets, there's a continued boom in mobile activity and data usage. Looking at a McKinsey report, we can see that it is showing the increased amount of data being used and how that impacts business. For a marketer, it impacts how consumers get access to messages and how people consume products. Also, mobile is going to be the primary way to target consumers 35 and under. It is going to be the primary way they access your website. And lastly, you will see this growth in consumption out of China and India. There is tremendous growth in Africa and in sub-Saharan Africa, particularly those countries that are economically and politically stable. Goldman Sachs predicts that in the next decade, Africa will have the most rapid growth of any continent. So let's talk about hyper-personalization. The concept of hyper-personalization is promoting the idea that companies could be marketing to a segment that is as granular as a single person. This is a real trend, a real possibility, and how could the practice of international marketing change in such scenario? The micro-targeting stuff is very interesting. we will see that individual level marketing that has to do with the amount of data that we have at the individual level. And as that increases and the cost actually in marketing to one person decrease, one could certainly envision a world in which businesses can market to one person. People talk about the day that you will get a completely adapted, completely individualized messages. We always assume that it's 10,000 messages that all look the same to 10,000 people who are very, very similar, but we can see individualization happening. It may be a little overstated to say it's happening a lot right now, but that's where the trend is going. Artificial intelligence is happening now, and it can help with micro-targeting. It is incredibly powerful and also a little bit terrifying. One talks about the cost of marketing to someone, that plus the increased amount of data, these two things will eventually overlap. AI has the most potential of causing the overlap because it would be both input and output. It could be tracking all that consumption data and all that activity that you're doing online, geo-targeting, all that various data will be input into an AI platform. It will be core to improving customer experiences, and that's why Comcast is spending so much energy and money around artificial intelligence. Comcast knows that they will have a customer experience gap and they want to close it. AI can be a powerful tool to do that, and I think of all marketing will be influenced by AI very soon. But AI is a buzzword, and buzzwords are a problem within marketing. Companies want the buzzword, but they don't realize what it is and they don't care what it costs. So let's talk a little bit about some of the myths with translation services, and we want to set the record straight and debunk those myths. So here on our slide, we say that translation services are way too expensive for your business. Well, we feel that isn't true. Translation is not an expensive proposition anymore. Alpha Omega Translations offer bulk packages, use sophisticated software, and earn term contracts with clients, all in a bid to help our clients save time and cut costs. Myth number 2, translation is easy as pie. Well, that's definitely not true. 100 times. Translators are scholars. Translation is time-intensive work that requires multiple skills, including an eye for accuracy, attention to details, a knack for research, a flair for language, and a comprehensive knowledge about the discipline area for a business or industry. Myth number 3 that we're going to debunk. All translation agencies are one and the same. We don't agree with that. Professional translation agencies are a cut above the rest, from specialized language experts to expert native translators, from multilingual web designs to localization to global digital marketing solutions. Top-notch translation agencies offer best-in-class services to cover all your marketing needs. So this one, we get asked this question a lot, and we want to debunk the myth. Machines translations can do it. Well, that's actually not true. Have you spent time and money producing marketing materials, and you're going to trust the machine to handle your baby? Think twice. Computers are just not ready to translate on their own, let alone replicate or better human translation. There's a long way for computers to match expert translation and understanding the subtle nuances and contextual intuition. So until then, your business will be at an advantage by sticking with expert human translators. Myth number 5. We like to debunk it, and my business is not going global, so translation services are not going to be useful. So maybe you're running a mom and pop business now and you don't require translation services. Maybe the idea of taking a business that has been very successful domestically and trying to duplicate that success internationally is daunting. Get ahead of the ball game and don't wait for your competitors to take the lead. Learn about what it takes to go global and partner with a language service provider to launch your business in the global market. So that about wraps it up for my part. I'm going to turn it over to Dimitra now and send it.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I see we have received a couple of questions. What types of files are you translating? Well, we translate all types of files, but they must be editable and in their final versions. So make sure you have them in their final versions, because if you send files that are not final and then you send updates while the translation is ongoing, well, the process will take longer and will be more costly. For large process, we advise you to identify the weaknesses in your processes in order to make the entire process go smooth. So identify who the technical writer is, who the in-country reviewer will be, who the terminology management person will be. Get a glossary ready, a style guide if necessary, before you send all your documents for translation and localization. I cannot stress that enough. To get the biggest savings, you need to make sure your source content and processes are the best shape they can be before they hit translation and localization. There's another question, a good question here. What's the process for translating websites? Well, we will need the HTML or Word files, and once they are translated, you can upload them on your website. We can also do that for you if needed. Once that's done, we will proofread the web pages before they become live to make sure that nothing is missing or misplaced. Sometimes when your webmasters upload translated content, accents go here, commas go there, because webmasters don't necessarily know the rules in the target language. So it's best for us to proofread the final product in order to make sure your web pages are perfect. That's about it for now. We will go deeper into those topics in our next seminars, which will be making your website global and choosing localization vendors. So stay tuned for more information in the upcoming webinars. And thank you very much for attending. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.